take a look at the login page to get started. So here I have eSNOOPI Pro pulled up. This is what your login page is going to look like. It's pretty clean. Just a few sections here to make note of. You have this sign in as SOL user, SOL being Secure Access Washington. This is going to be your login method for getting into the system. We'll talk more about this in a little bit after we actually create the eSNOOPI Pro account. Speaking of that, this create company account is how we're going to be creating the eSNOOPI Pro account. And then over here, we have an important news and announcement section. It's pretty bare bones right now, but as we get closer to launch and during launch week, any important changes that come up will be posted here. Any kind of office closures in the future, or anything related to travel, holidays, anything like that can be posted here in this important news and announcements section. I do think we're also planning on putting recordings of these training sessions that we've had this week up here too, so you can reference them at a later date if you need to review anything we covered today. So that's the login page. I'm going to switch to our development site for demo purposes.
Hey, George, I think we lost you there for a second. I think you may have put yourself on mute.
I don't know if somebody muted all, but can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, cool deal.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that was an overview of the login page. I switched to our development site just so we can see the newest and greatest things that you'll be seeing on Monday. That being said, this is our development site, so if we run into any kind of issues or errors, that is why.
Hey, George, it looks like it looks like you're back on mute.
Okay, I don't understand. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So like I was saying, to create an account, you have this create company account link here on the login page. So we're going to click that, and you'll be brought to this create new account page. You're going to have some options in this drop down. The two main options are going to be creating an account with a USDOT number, or if you're a non-commercial carrier and you don't have a USDOT number, we have this second option here as well. So we're going to go ahead and kind of walk through both options to let you know, to give you an idea of what they look like. So I'm going to do USDOT number first. When you click that, this field appears that allows you to enter your USDOT number. I have one over here that we're going to use. So you enter that, you click search. This pulls in the company information from FMCSA. So here we have BB Lumber Corporation of Washington. This is the company we're going to create. So we're going to click that button. And like I said, it's going to pull in all the company information that it can from FMCSA, like the company name, DBA, email if there's one on file. I'm going to enter my own email just so we don't spam anybody with our permits from our development site. The phone number, fax number is populated. The address information is populated, and you can't change it because this is coming from FMCSA, like I said. So here at the bottom is where you're going to be creating the user to actually log into your eSNOOPI Pro account. So we need some basic information here. So first name, last name, email address, and phone number. Okay, so the most important part of creating a user is to have your SOL login username. I kind of look at this as, I don't know if you ever go to like a shopping website or a social media site and you log in with your Google account or you log in with your Apple ID. It's kind of like that. So you're going to have your SAW login to log into eSNOOPI Pro. Um, if you don't have a SAW login already, we have a handy dandy link here. And if you click this, it will bring you directly to the Secure Access Washington site. And it even has this little pop-up here automatically, so you can just start entering the information to create your SAW account. So I'm going to create a new one for this account that I'm creating in eSNOOPI Pro. Your first name, your last name, email address. There's fields to enter additional email address or phone number. We can get rid of this stuff. Down here at the bottom of this pop-up, you enter what you want your SAW username to be, just for demo purposes. I'm going to enter j.martinez.carriertraining and then enter a password and then confirm that you're not a robot. And then click the Create My Account button. Here's a page that you may or may not see when you're creating a SAW account on your own. I've used my email address to create quite a few different SAW accounts for testing purposes. So it displays a page here saying, are you sure you want to create an additional account? I'm going to say, yes, I do. You may see this if you end up being the person at your company that creates a bunch of SAW accounts for the users that need access to your company. Just know that you'll need to hit this link to continue creating that account. So pretty simple process for creating the SAW account. Now it says it sent you an activation link. So I'm going to go to my inbox and wait for that email to come in. Here it is. This is what the email looks like. It says you're almost finished. It gives you your username that you entered during the SAW creation process. And then it gives you a link here to actually log in. And this is very important. Your SAW account is not activated until you click this link and log in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. So it brings you back to SAW, and then you're going to log in with the information that you just created. So here's my username. Here's my password. And then you click submit to log in. And then once you see this yellow banner saying add a contact method, you are good. You've logged into SAW, you've activated your SAW account, and you are good to finish creating your eSNOOPI Pro account. So I'm going to get rid of these SAW tabs since I'm done there. And now that I have my SAW login activated, I'm going to go ahead and enter that. So that's pretty much all you need to create your eSNOOPI Pro account. So I'm going to create the company. And then you get a successful message here. Your account's created successfully, return to login. And then you would be able to click this green button to log in with SAW and log into your eSNOOPI Pro account. But before we do that, I said I wanted to show you both ways that you can create an account. So I'm going to go ahead and let me close out of this and bring it back up so we can start over. Okay, so now I'm going to create an account without a USDOT number. Select that option, click create account, and it's going to bring you to that same page we were on earlier. But since we didn't put in USDOT and get all that information from FMCSA, all the fields will be blank and you can enter all your company information. So I'm going to enter information for this company I'm creating. So I'm going to say it's George's Moving Company. Do my email address, phone number, I'm going to enter my address. say Texas zip. If you are entering a address, we do have this handy checkbox here. So if your mailing address is the same as your physical address, you can just check that, and it automatically populates that, so you don't have to type it again. And then down here, we're going to create a user for this company. So enter the first name, last name, email address, and phone number again. And then I'm going to go ahead and create another SAW account for this second company that I'm creating, just so we can kind of see that process again. We have that link here at the bottom, which will just bring you to SAW and bring you to that pop-up where you enter in the information for your SAW login name. First name, last name, do my email again. That means we're going to get that page again that says, are you sure you want to create additional accounts? For this SAW account, I'm going to do a slightly different username, because obviously we can't create duplicates, or you can't use a username that already exists. Let me say it that way. So there's my username's a little too long, so I'm going to take away some characters. Do the I'm not a robot CAPTCHA, and that should be everything for the SAW account. So I'm going to create my account. Like I said, this page came up again. It's just letting me know that you have multiple SAW accounts using that same email address. I know, and I want to create another one, so I'm going to click that link. It's going to send you your activation email. Here's that email again. It says you're almost finished. It gives you your username. Since I had to change this, let me go ahead and grab this. Okay. So it gives you your username that you entered during the creation process. It gives you a link to actually activate that account. So I'm going to click that link. And you enter in your username, password. And then once you log in, your account is active and you'll be ready to use SAW to log into eSNOOPI Pro. So once again, I'm going to go back to eSNOOPI Pro and where I was creating my account, where I click this link to get to that Secure Access Washington website. Going to enter my SAW login username there and hit create company. And then you get your success message and a button to return to the login so you can actually log in. Okay, so that's the process for creating an account. Kind of did a little detour there to show you how you make the SAW login name that you'll use to actually get into eSNOOPI Pro. And that's that. So let me go ahead and close out on my browser again. The reason why I keep doing that is because SAW actually keeps you logged in, and I want to log into the first account that I created. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click that sign in as SAW user button. And like I said, I'm going to log into the first account that I made with a USDOT. There's that. And then the password. So the first time you log into eSNOOPI Pro, you're going to be greeted with this terms of service document. It's not a super long PDF like we are used to seeing when you create a new account on a website, but you do have the option to save this PDF if you want to review it. and then you got to click accept to actually get into eSNOOPI Pro. Okay, so here we are. We're logged into that account I just made. This is our homepage or dashboard, as we like to call it. So we'll kind of talk about what you see here. In the center of the page, you're going to have your permit queue. Since this is a brand new account, I don't have any permits issued or pending or anything like that, but you'll see them start to populate here as we go through and order some permits. We have an option here to kind of filter the permit queue if you end up having a lot of permits on your dashboard. You can filter it by permit ID, which is just an internal identifier number that we use. Your permit ID is definitely something to make note of, especially if you have to submit your permit to the permit office for review or anything. It's just kind of a quick way to reference the permit so they can pull it up on their end and do any reviews or answer any questions you might have. So you can filter it by permit ID. You can filter it by permit number, which is assigned after the permit is actually issued. Permit type, unit number, so your vehicle issue date, start date. You can also filter it that way. VIN or any company reference that you enter while ordering the permit. Over here on the right side, we have a section for the shopping cart. Obviously, there's nothing in there now, but we'll see how this works after we order a few permits. There's a statistics panel, which kind of gives you a high level overview of what you've done for your account today. And then a messages panel here at the bottom that serves a similar purpose to that important news and announcements section on the login page, where anything that the permit office wants to communicate to you could show up here. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Okay, so that's kind of the pieces of the dashboard. Over here on the left side, we have what we call the admin panel, which has a link to bring you back here, the company dashboard. It's kind of like a home button. A link to go into company management, which we'll do here in a second. Vehicle import, pre-trip planning, which is if you want to run any routes without actually issuing a permit, this is where you would go. A link for reports, a link to upload route surveys if one of the permits you order requires one, and then another way to get to the shopping cart. So like we said over here on the right side, link to go to the shopping cart, and then there's a link over here to go to the shopping cart as well. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to get into company management first, now that we're logged in. So I'm gonna click that. You'll see here your company information will be loaded. Since this is the one I created with a USDOT number, the company name and the DBA are pulled in from FMCSA. Those fields are locked. But if you do go and update any company information through FMCSA, we do have this sync with USDOT button here. And you click that, and then this information will update with whatever you changed on the FMCSA side of things. So we're going to take a look at the company assets. So you have a place to record contacts, your address information, which will also be updated if you end up changing it through FMCSA and clicking that sync with USDOT number. A place to create terminals if you have any satellite offices that you want to add to your account. A place to add users. The user that creates the company will obviously already be here and be able to add additional users. So this is the user I created earlier and the user I'm logged in as, obviously. And then a place to store vehicles too. We'll take a look at what the different ways you can add vehicles to your company here in a second. I want to look at users first. So like I said, we have the user that I'm logged in as, but I want to create a new user. So we're going to select create user in this drop down and then click this link to actually create the user. So here it opens a user management page. We have the same kind of fields that we did whenever we were creating the account, but this is obviously for a user that you're adding to the account. So first name, last name. It's really the fields on the left here that you're going to be worried about to create another user. So let me create a user for Chaz actually. So you enter their first name, last name, their Sol login name. They will need to have one of these already active to actually log into eSNOOPI Pro. Their email address and phone number. And so those are the important fields that you need to enter to create the user. The only other thing to really make note here when you're adding users is there's two different roles that you can give them. The first is user. So if you create this person as a user, they'll be able to log into your account and order permits, but they won't be able to add any additional users or edit any of your company information. So if you want them to be able to do that, you need to select supervisor as their role. So if they're a supervisor, when they log in, they can create permits like normal, but they can also edit the company information and add additional users. Okay. So that's kind of an overview of how to add users to your account. Now let's talk about vehicles. So obviously I don't have any vehicles here, so I want to add one. I'm gonna select create vehicle, select create new, and then it's gonna display the fields that you need to enter for a vehicle. Whenever you are adding a vehicle here in company management, you'd be doing it one at a time. There is a way to like import a fleet of vehicles, which we'll look at here in a second. But here I'm just gonna add one vehicle. Okay, so I'm going to select just one for my unit number, select the make from this drop-down list, year. You're going to have to enter your VIN, have one saved here, enter your plate, state. If your vehicle has a Washington registered GVW, you can select that as well. If you have any terminals defined for your account, you can select them here. I don't have any, so that's just empty right now. And then you can select the vehicle type as well. So this is a tractor trailer, so I'm going to select that. And then you click submit, and that will add the vehicle to your vehicle inventory. So now whenever you click that drop down, you'll see the one I just added is available. Okay, so like I said, that's a way to add an individual vehicle. Here, if you click this vehicle import link, you'll be able to import like a fleet using a spreadsheet. So we do have kind of a template up here. If you click this link, it will download a template of what your spreadsheet can look like. So let me open that and show you guys. Okay. So you can see it kind of gives you a template and has columns already established for unit number, the year, the make. We do want to note here, you can see in the template, it says this as well, but definitely enter the full make, not an abbreviation. So, you know, if it's a Kenworth, type out Kenworth instead of KW. There's a column for VIN, plate, state, type, terminal, and then the Washington registered GVW. So this is kind of a good basis to create your inventory fleet spreadsheet if you don't already have one. And I already have one, so I don't need this. Here it kind of gives you like more information about what those columns can have for the vehicles, the maximum number of characters, the different vehicle types that you can enter, and how to enter that in the spreadsheet so the system knows what you're talking about. So I'm going to click choose file, and like I said, I already have one. So I'm going to select that. The system will upload that spreadsheet, kind of give you a preview down here of what you have entered. And then it will allow you to select what information is contained within each row. It's pretty good at kind of picking up how you created the spreadsheet, especially if you use that template that I showed earlier. But if it didn't get it quite right, you can select the column. So my unit number is in column 1, so that's good. My model year is in column 2, so that's good. Vehicle make is in column 3, that's good. VIN 4 is correct. 5, contains a license plate, so that's good. And state is in 6. The vehicle type is in 7. I don't have any terminals, so I don't have to do anything for that. The registered GVW is in column 8, so I got to select that. So that is lined up now with what the spreadsheet actually looks like. And then I do have a header row as shown here, so my data actually starts on row 2. So I'm going to make sure to select that so the system knows where to start actually importing the vehicles from. So I'm good to go there. I'm going to click import sheet. Give you a progress report. Then it tells you how many of the vehicles were imported successfully and if you had any failures. If you have any failures, they'll be listed down here and they'll give you a reason as to why it failed. So it's kind of a easy way to import more than one vehicle at a time. So now I have 6 vehicles on this in this company. Okay, so that's kind of the company management aspects I wanted to go over. Talked about what the dashboard will display, your shopping cart, the company management, and what you can do in there in terms of adding users, adding vehicles, and if you're adding more than one vehicle at a time using the vehicle import link here. So I think we're ready to go ahead and start actually ordering some permits. So to start that process, you're going to click this order new permit link at the top. It's going to do a check against Prism for your company. We're good, so we can just click OK. The first page of the application is going to be contact information. This page is going to be automatically populated based on what you have saved in your account. But of course, if you want to, I don't know, change the email address to make sure the permit goes to somewhere else, you can go ahead and update that here. It's just a default, but you can change it. At the bottom of this contact information page, we have a company reference field. So you can enter really anything you want here, whether it be a job number or some other way that you want to keep track of your permits. And as you saw on the dashboard, there is a way to kind of filter your permit queue by company reference. So that's what this is used for. So I'm going to click next. And then here you can select what permit type you want to order. I want to start with a annual, so I'm going to click that. And then it's going to give me the options for annual permits that can be ordered. I want to do a non-divisible load here. And when you click the permit definition that you want to order, it kind of gives you a description of what that permit is for. Down here, you select your duration that you want the permit to be for. I'm just going to do a month. The start date will be automatically populated to today's date, but you do have the option to change that. If you want to do it sometime in the future, if you want it to start on Friday, you can just change it to the 23rd. And then the end date will automatically update as needed. So I'm going to change it back to today's date. And then you can see the end date kind of went back to where it was originally. Okay, so I'm going to click next now. So here is the vehicle page where you enter your vehicle information. You can enter it manually, or if you have an inventory, like you saw me add just a few seconds ago, you click the Find from Inventory button, and then I can select any of those vehicles that have been added previously. And then if you do have a ton of vehicles in your company, you can kind of filter it down and search by the unit number, the VIN, or the plate. I don't have a whole lot, so it's all kind of displayed here and easy to see. I'm going to go ahead and select this first one for the vehicle. All the information is populated based on what I have saved in company management, but you can update any of this if you want. And if you do make a change, you'll get this update vehicle button if you want to save those changes to the vehicle in your inventory. So I'm going to click next. And when you click next on the vehicle page, we do a check against Washington Systems to see what the GVW is for what the registered GVW is for that VIN and plate. This pop-up is just informational. It's just displaying what they have on file. So you click OK, and then it'll take you to the next page. This non-divisible load permit is pretty simple in terms of what you're selecting. We just have two checkboxes down here. If you want to order the permit for width and height, select that. Or if you want it for load length, you can do that. Or you can do it for both. So pretty simple in terms of the selections here. I'm going to order it for both. The next page is going to be the permit conditions. These are the kind of instructions that are specific to the permit that you're ordering. So it's displayed here during the permit application, and they're also actually carried over to the permit PDF as well, which we'll look at after we get this permit issued. So after the permit conditions is the summary page. Summary page is exactly what it sounds like. It kind of puts everything that you've entered in the permit application on one page so you can review it one last time before actually submitting the permit. So we have the company, how much the permit is going to cost, the contact information from the first page, permit type, the dates, the vehicle information I selected, the dimensions that I selected with those two check boxes, and then the conditions that we just saw on the previous page. So I'm going to click submit. So at this point, this permit is ready to be paid for. So the permit status is pending payment. We do have two options whenever the permit is immediately ready for payment after submitting. You can pay for it now, or you can click return to company dashboard, and that will just put it in your shopping cart. So you can pay for it whenever you're ready. I'm ready to pay for this one now, so I'm going to go ahead and click that button. And then here, it's going to list the permits that you're about to pay for. So this is the one I just submitted. It's a non-divisible load. It gives you your start date, end date, whether this one is ready to be paid for now, what the fee is, what the credit card fee is, and what the total is. You have to check these two attestation statements before you're allowed to pay for it, just letting you know that all sales are final and credit card fees are non-refundable. So once those are checked, this process payment button is enabled. You can click it, click confirm, and then you'll be brought to CyberSource, which is where you're going to be paying for your permit. So I'm going to go ahead and enter my billing information. First name, last name, address, country, there we go, Texas, zip code. And you do enter an email address here. I do want to note that the receipt for your payment is going to be sent to whatever email address is entered here. So just so you know, click next. So I have a Visa that I'm going to pay for this permit with. Enter your expiration date, standard stuff whenever you're buying stuff online. And then I have my kind of summary page, billing address you just entered, the card you're going to use, and the amount that your card is going to be charged for. You click pay. And then you're brought back to eSNOOPI Pro. Kind of get a cool little page here. If the permit takes a few seconds to load, you'll get a countdown. This one kind of generated pretty quickly. So here, permit's been issued. Since it's been issued, we now have a permit number, and we have a link to view this to view the permit PDF. So you click that button, it downloads, and then there's your permit PDF. So here we have all the information, obviously, that is on file for your company that you enter during the permit application. We have the permit type here at the top. Those permit instructions I mentioned, they're here on the PDF as well. There's a fee breakdown and then some additional information. So that is a non-divisible Annual permit kind of ordered, paid for, completely issued. Pretty straightforward process there. So I'm going to go back home. So now I have this permit here in my permit queue. There are a couple actions that you can do with each permit. There's a button to open permit details, which just kind of gives you all the information for that permit. General information, the vehicle that you selected for this specific permit. Kind of a history tab, so it lists all the changes that have happened for this permit. A tab to access the PDF. There's a fee items tab as well. The credit card reference number and all that fun stuff is here on the payments tab. There's a notes tab. This is useful if you submit the permit for help to the permit office. They can respond to any questions you have here, and it will kind of show up as a conversation on this notes tab. So yeah, that's permit details. Some other actions we have available for the permit on the dashboard is this clone or copy permit button. This is pretty cool. It will just create a copy of the permit with all the information already populated. This one's pretty simple, but you'll see the contact information, the vehicle information will all already be there. Another action I want to show you on the dashboard is if you have a permit that's not been submitted yet, you'll have this little pencil here which will let you resume. So, and if you don't need that permit anymore, you also have a little trash can to get rid of it, so we can cancel it. Okay, there are two more actions here. There's a self-service amend and then submitting the actual permit for an amend request to the permit office. We're kind of finishing up these last two actions, so we won't go too far into them today, but that's how you would do those two actions. Yeah, so that being said, let's order a few more permits. We're going to do some single trips, which are a little bit more, there's a little bit more to them. Okay, contact information is populated, like I said. Here we're going to do a single trip, and we're going to start out with just an oversize only permit. You can see the duration of this one is a lot less than that the one I ordered earlier for a month. So start date automatically populates. You can select a future date if needed. I'm going to select a vehicle for this single trip permit for my inventory. So here's the informational pop-up for the registered Washington, the Washington Registered GVW. Okay, so you can see here the load details and dimensions page is there's a little bit more to it than the non-divisible permit. Let me go ahead and enter my information. We're going to do construction equipment from this commodity type drop-down list. I'm going to enter, let's see, empty plastic tanks for my load description. My width is 10.6. Height is 14. My overall length is 65 feet. Trailer load length is 40. I don't have any overhangs, but there is kind of text here to make sure that you include any overhangs into the overall length field. And another thing to kind of note here is we do have the metric values already populated. This was requested for Canadian carriers specifically. And it's kind of neat. You can, if you enter feet and inches, it will automatically go to meters. And if you enter meters, it will automatically go to feet and inches. Pretty cool. This is just an oversized permit, so the GVW is displayed as legal down there. And we'll click next. Okay, this is a single trip, so here's the route page. Like I said up top, we do have our GIS team on the call, which will kind of go a little bit more in depth with the different location types that you can use for origin and destination. They'll get into split trips and viewpoints and all that fun stuff. For my purposes, I'm going to just select a pretty simple, let's do a milepost route real quick. So you select milepost for your location type, you select the road, what direction, and then the milepost itself. I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna do a very simple route since we have a section dedicated to this in a little bit. After you enter your origin and destination, you click the route button. System will think for a little bit and give you a route. So there we go. The map gets generated. You have your blue line for your route of travel, your origin, your destination. There we go. Underneath the map, you can expand this dimension section to see the dimensions that were used for your route. If there's any conditional overrides, they'll be displayed there. If you go over any bridges, they'll be displayed in that section. Then you'll have your driving directions, kind of an abbreviated driving directions, and then turn by turn. Since I'm just on this one road, it's very simple turn by turn. Not a whole lot of turns here. So pretty simple there. I'm gonna go ahead and click next. Here are the permit conditions or instructions. And then the summary page. This permit's $10, so we get the fee listed there. And like I said, it lists all the information that you entered during the permit application. So I'm going to click submit. Since this was a pretty simple oversized permit, you're able to pay for the permit immediately. No routing review or permit office review is necessary. So yeah, it goes to pending payment. I'm going to return to company dashboard and order another permit so we can get a few permits in the shopping cart and see how that works. So I'm going to order another one, but I'm going to do oversize, overweight this time so we can look at what the axle entry is like. Okay, so I'm going to do single trip, but like I said, I'm going to do oversize, overweight this time. Select a different vehicle from my inventory. Click next. Okay. So we're going to do some more construction equipment. This time we're going to do a dozer. Dimensions are slightly different than last time. So 1010 for width, 14 for the height, 75 for the length, 53 for trailer load length. You'll notice here, when I did the oversize, it said GVW is legal. Since this is an oversize overweight permit, we're going to have to enter axles. So you click next, and then you're brought to the axle weight and spacings page. I'm going to add some axles here. Let me see what I got going on. Okay, so I'm going to enter weight for my drive axle. 19 feet between axle 1 and 2. 16,900 pounds. Then 4 feet 4 inches between the next set of axles. 16.9 again. 33 feet 8 inches. And 16,374. 5 feet 1 inch, 16373, and 51 again, and 16373 for the last one. You got to enter the tread width for that drive axle. This one is 11 inches. We'll select that, and then you can enter the axle width, which looks like this vehicle is just 8 feet for each one after that. So let me do this. There we go. So my axles have been entered for this vehicle. Up here at the top, I do want to note we do have the option to save this specific axle configuration. What this does, if you click this button, is it saves these axles to this specific vehicle. So if you order another permit with this same vehicle down the road, you'll be able to load this axle configuration so you don't have to enter everything like one by one again. So it's kind of a convenient feature there. And then another thing that we're not quite ready to show yet, but you will have coming soon is an option to enter an existing axle spacing report, like from the previous old system, eSNOOPI. And then you enter your axle spacing report, and then it will actually populate those axle weights and spacings. So you don't have to, if you have, a bunch of history with that, you don't have to re-enter all those and save all those again. You can just use that existing axle spacing report, which is pretty neat. So yeah, that's kind of an overview of how you enter axle weights and spacings and how you can save and retrieve those as well. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna click next. Here's if your registered weight, if you have a additional tonnage permit that you want to kind of apply here, so your fees are accurate, you can select this and then select what your weight is. Click cancel on that. Go next. And then we're on the route page. For this one, for this route, I'm gonna just do a border crossing to border crossing route. So we're gonna go from this border to this one. And then click route. There we go. There's the route generated. Here on the route page, I do want to note, if you're kind of struggling to get a route or you're not sure why it's not going the way that you need it to go, you do have the option to submit this permit to the permit office for routing assistance. So you would click this little checkbox up here. It does give you a caveat here that it can take up to 3 business days for this permit to get reviewed, and then you would enter the reason why you're submitting it for routing assistance, whether it be you're not sure why you can't get through a restriction, or you want to go a specific way and you need help getting that route to be generated. You would enter that there. So there we go. Okay. So we have the route. Since this is an overweight permit, we do have to enter the local mileage fee. I mean, not fee, sorry, the amount of local miles that you travel. This will be calculated into your fee. So I'm just going to put 3 miles here. Click next. You get your permit conditions page with specific routing instructions are included here as well. And then we'll have the summary page. And I'm going to submit this one. Okay, so this one is also pending payment. And like I said, I wanted to get a couple permits in the shopping cart. So we're going to go return to company dashboard. And then you can see that now I have 2 here that are ready for payment. So I'm going to click the shopping cart link. Here you can click this view permit if you want to see more details about that specific permit, or if you don't need it anymore, you can click cancel. So I'm going to pay for both of these at the same time. Click checkout. Okay. So you can see both permits are listed here. I'm going to click these two test statements. It gives you the total for both down here, total payment. I'm going to click process payment. And then I'm going to enter my billing information once again. There's that. I'm going to pay with my Visa. Let me grab that number again. Enter in the card details. Click next. Here's my summary page. Click pay. This will bring us back to eSNOOPI Pro. And then those permits will be processed, and then we'll get the PDF here in a second. There is an option too, if you don't want to wait around here, you can click return to home, and then the permits will just appear on the dashboard after they're finished processing and the PDFs have been generated. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do that, return home. Like I said, they'll show up here once it's done. Okay, so there's one more permit I would like to show you guys. We're going to order a permit that is a superload, and we're going to go through what that process looks like on the carrier side, on your side. I'm going to start another one. I'm going to do another overweight permit, but my width is going to be superload. So oversized, overweight. So I'm going to do this third vehicle. This is more construction equipment. Going to be another dozer. The width is going to be 16.2, which is what's going to trigger the superload process. So height 14, length is 75, trailer load length is 53, and then we'll enter the axles. So once again, 11,220, 19, 16.9. Tab a little too quickly sometimes. 16.9 again. 33.8. 16,374. 5.1. 16,373. 5.1 again. 16,373. Okay. Like I said, when I was ordering the last permit, if you want to save that configuration, you can go ahead and click that button at the top before continuing. And go into the tread width. So my width is 16.2, so that means this is a superload. So we get the superload approval page. Here you're going to enter the intended date of movement. Let's say I want to do this on Friday. And then you enter how many permits are going to use the superload approval. I'm just going to do 3 for this one. You do have the option if you already have an existing superload approval to click this and enter that superload approval number, validate the number. The route will automatically be generated since you're using an existing one, and you won't have to go through those routing review process again. But this is a new one, so I'm going to do create new, do 3 permits for this superload approval number. I'm going to select my route. I'll do that same route I did for the previous one. So the route's generated, it got my blue line, that's good. Enter my local miles. There we go. We are in our development site, so sometimes things are a little bit slow, but here we go. Permit conditions. Permit summary page. So when I submit this one, you can see down here it has my superload approval information. This is the first one that's being ordered for this new superload approval. So this is 1 of 3, and we have our superload number here, 262. So I'm going to submit this. This one will go to the pending status instead of pending payment because this one does need to be reviewed by the permit office before it actually gets issued. So I think we have Chaz on the line, which will be our permit office for today's demo. Are you able to process this permit for us, Chaz?
Yep, processing it right now.
Sweet. So like I said, the status will be pending. If we go back to the dashboard, you'll see the status is pending here. And what's cool about eSNOOPI Pro is that the status will update depending on what the permit office has done to the permit. So this one is just pending. So once Chaz starts processing it, you'll see the status change. We'll just wait here a minute to get confirmation for that.
Okay, I just sent that permit to routing review.
Perfect. So I'm going to refresh my end, and then we can see the status for that permit is now routing review pending. So that means the permit office has reviewed the permit and sent it off to any areas that need to review the permit.
And I've just approved one of the routing reviews,
Okay.
one of the entities, so if you want to refresh.
Yeah. So now that that review process is in progress, you can see the status has been updated to reflect that. So that means at least one of the entities has approved or reviewed the permit.
Okay, all routing reviews have been approved.
Okay, we refresh my page again. And there we go. As Chaz said, all the routing reviews have been approved, so the status has been updated to reflect that. This is pretty handy so you know where your permit is in the process. So if the permit requires bridge or requires a route survey, the status will be reflected. The status will be updated to show that as well. So this one was just width, so it just needs to go to routing review. So yeah. So now that one's been approved, if I think you need to process it again, and then we'll just pay for it.
Yep, that has just been approved.
Nice. Okay. So cool. Now that the permit has been approved, we can see the status is now PO pending payment. This just means that the permit office has finished their review. PO permit office. So it's ready to go. Let me go ahead and go to the shopping cart. Select that one and check out. So I'm gonna attest to my 2 statements. Click process. And then bear with me while I enter my billing details one last time. Getting pretty good at this, I think. Yep, there we go. Texas. And my email. No. My card. Details. And pay. Okay, I'm gonna go back home. So yeah, that's kind of a broad overview of what you'll see on your end if your um, permit reaches a superload size or weight. Just kind of have that status here on the dashboard so you can keep track of where it's at. So I think that brings me to the end of my section. If our GIS team is ready to take over and show some more in-depth things about the routing page, I think we're ready for that.
Yep. I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Caitlin. I'm with our GIS team over here, and I'm just going to go over some basics of routing with you guys. So we are going to be staying on the routing page. I'll be going through all the different location types, how to use them, how to get preferred routes, how to look at restrictions, map functions, all that good stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to plug in an origin destination and we'll kind of go from there. So this is what your page is going to look like when you get to the routing page. It's going to automatically default to address, intersection, lat long, border crossing, and milepost. So for this first route, I'm going to start with an address. I'm going to go to an address on Washington 26 in Royal City, and I'm just plugging that right in. For my destination, I'm going to change my location type to an intersection. So I'm going to click an intersection. You'll see that street 1 and street 2 are not set. You'll see that city is not set. So we're going to use this find intersection button. I'm going to click that. And you'll see it kind of zooms us a little bit more into the map, and we'll see intersection of street 1, street 2, and then your city is optional. So for this first street, I'm going to plug in Washington 21. My second street, I want to be Washington 20. And I do not have a city for this intersection. So I just want to go to the intersection of Washington 21 and Washington 20. And I'm going to click this find button. And the system is going to try and find every place that Washington and 21 and Washington 20 intersect. So in this instance, it found 2 places. Of course, you always want to zoom in, make sure the area makes sense as far as where you're routing. You don't want to just pick a random balloon. You want to make sure that that's the intersection you're starting at. So for this specific example, I'm going to choose the first balloon. And you'll see that instead of a little one balloon, it's going to turn into a destination balloon, which is marked with that red balloon with the D in it. And so now that I have found my intersection, I'm going to go ahead and hit done. And you'll see that's filled in. So my origin, I have my address, my destination has my 2 streets, and then it populated the city as well. And now that I am happy with my origin and destination, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click route. And the system's just going to think. It's going to give you a route based off of your dimensions, the preference of the road. Is it an interstate, US highway, Washington highway? Those will all play a factor in what route you get. So you'll see I got a route. I have my origin here marked with that green origin balloon with the little O. And then I have my destination over here with the red destination balloon with the D and a blue route line. Really quick before I move on to the next route that I was going to show you, I just want to show you a few functionalities of the actual map and the layers itself. So you'll see all of these green highlighted roads. These are all what we call on-system roads. Keep in mind, Washington, as most of y'all know, only routes on system. So only state maintained roads, interstates, US highways, Washington roads. So if you're ever questioning whether or not you can get a permitted route on a road, you can check to see if it has a green highlight. If it has a green highlight, you're good to go. If it doesn't, for instance, this Beverly Burke Road, that is going to be considered off system. You're going to have to get county local approval, and that is not going to be permitted on your permit. So that is the green on system highlight. We've had some people say that sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to see your road name when you're zooming in and out. If you ever want to turn off the green on system highlight to kind of get a better look at things, you can do that and just turn it back on. We also have a regions and maintenance areas layer, which you can turn on and off. And that'll kind of display each region and maintenance area, and you can hover over each one and it'll tell you which area it is. I'm going to turn that off. You'll also see throughout the map, there are some red restriction highlights. These are all restrictions that based off of your permit type, your dimensions, all that good stuff that you would be restricted from traveling on. So you can, once again, turn that off. Really don't ever recommend you doing that because you want to be able to see where you're restricted from. But if you wanted to, you could. And then, of course, we have a bridges cross layer. It's sort of just the same thing as our bridges crossed on route down here. So there's that as far as the actual layers go. We do, if you look up here, we're going to have map. We can turn on terrain. It's going to show you basically like a topography type map. You can turn that off. If you ever want to see a satellite view for whatever reason, you can turn this on to satellite. Same thing, easily turn it off. And if you are ever wanting to, let's say I want to go to this area in Google for whatever reason. Over down in this left-hand corner, we have this little Google hyperlink. And you can click that and it's going to show you the area in which you were just at in Google. Another cool little Google function we have is we call this little guy the peg man. And if you're ever wondering what Street View looks like at an area, you can just pull him and drop him down. So I just dropped him here at this intersection. If I'm ever curious for whatever reason what that looks like, I can do that. And I can exit that mode. And then we can also toggle full screen the map and then untoggle that. So those are just some really basic cool functions of the map and the layers themselves. You can zoom in using these zoom in and out buttons, and then of course, scroll. So with that being said, I'll just kind of show you a few more routes with some origin destinations to give you guys a little bit more familiar with the routing. So this next route, I'm going to show you the lat long function. So lat longs, you can do this one of two ways. If you already have a lat long, let's say I had a lat long from like a previous permit or Google or whatever, I can copy that lat long, I can paste it in here, and then I could route. If you're unsure of where you're starting exactly, you can use the find function, which is what I'm going to demonstrate for you guys. So I'm going to find a place to start. You'll see up here that we have a focus city. For this, I know that I am starting in Ritzville. So I'm going to throw Ritzville in our focus city. I'm going to hit go, and it's just going to kind of zoom us into Ritzville. From there, you'll want to, of course, choose an on-system road to start on. For this route, I want to choose I-90. So I'm going to go up here next to Ritzville, our focus city. I'm going to choose the select radio button, and I'm going to select somewhere on the on-system highlight on I-90. So I'm going to select here. It's going to drop a little pin with the green origin balloon. Now that I have my origin, I'm going to click done, and you'll see that fills in your lat long for you. And for our destination, I'm going to choose a border crossing this time. So for our destination under location type, I'm going to choose border crossing. This has a pre-selected list of places that you can enter and exit Washington on, ranging from interstates, US highways, Washington roads. For this one, I'm going to choose I-205 at the Oregon border. I have my origin, my destination, and I'm going to click route again. And this will give us a new route. Once again, this is going to route us based off of our permit type, dimensions, all that good stuff. You'll see once again, our origin balloon, destination balloon, and our blue route line. If you zoom in, I'm going to zoom into our origin here. If you're ever curious, we've gone over, these are red restriction highlights. If you're ever curious for whatever reason, what is restricting you from traveling on a specific road, you can find the red restriction highlight that's in your way. For instance, theoretically, we would think that we could, hop on a ramp, go across I-90 westbound and continue on, but we are ramping off and we're avoiding something here. So we just want to kind of take a look and see what exactly is going on. So I'm going to get restriction information for road, this little radio button here above the map, and I'm going to zoom into the red highlight I'm looking at. I'm going to click it, and it's going to give you every restriction on this road. Here, it looks like we have I-90 westbound under a railroad. There's a 14.7-foot height. We are, if you look at our dimensions, we're 14.8. So we're not going to be able to travel under there. So the system's doing its job by making sure that we are not going under that railroad. If for whatever reason you think that you should be able to travel through a restriction, let's just say more so maybe for a no permits. Let's say that there's a no permits restriction on I-90, but you're actually dropping something off at a construction site and you really think you should be able to travel on I-90. We actually have a thing above the map right under route. It says carefully check the route presented below. If it looks correct, click next. But if you have a problem with your route and you'd like it reviewed, you can use this checkbox and you can enter the reason why you would like your route reviewed. Go down to the bottom of our routing page and click next, and you'll be able to submit it from there. Just do keep in mind, it doesn't show it here because this is one of our development sites, but in production, it will also have wording here to keep in mind that if you need a permit reviewed, it can take up to 3 business days. So anytime you're wanting a permit reviewed, just kind of keep that in mind. But we are okay with this route. So we are going to zoom out a little bit. I'll show you guys our driving directions. You're always going to have your origin, your destination, And then your driving directions, we call them our turn-by-turn driving directions, are going to be in the middle. And let's say, for instance, I know that I can't go I-90, but I'd actually really prefer to go down 261, maybe take Washington 26, and then go up Washington 21 for whatever reason. Everyone knows haulers have their own preferred routes for different reasons. So I don't want the system or the route the system gave me. I want to switch it up a little bit. Of course, you can request technician review, or if you know how to route using via points, you can do that as well. So I'll show you two ways you can do that. So the first option is you can come up to trip entry, and right in between your origin and destination, there's going to be add via point. And under via point type, there's via highways where you can actually type out your highway name. This is more a suggestion. If you want something more accurate, I definitely recommend using Find on Map. That's what a lot of us use. So for instance, for this example, I'm going to use Find on Map. And I want to zoom into the preferred route that I want to take, which is going down 261 across 26 and up 21. And right where it says drag map, there's going to be a select radio button again. And I want to select a point on 261. It's going to give me a balloon with the number 1 and the via point. And then I want to select one more on Washington 21. And it's going to give me a number 2. Now that I have my 2 via points selected, I'm going to hit done. They're going to be under your via points on Find on Map, and I'm going to hit route. And the system is going to review everything. And as long as that route is something you can take, there's no restrictions, there's nothing weird directionally going on, the system should accommodate your route, which in this case it did. And then you'll obviously see that change in your driving directions as well. You'll see we're taking 261, 26, and 21. So there's that way of doing it. You can also come up here. I'm going to remove these 2 via points. I'm going to route again to just kind of set us back to where we were before. And the next way I'm going to show you guys is using a function called drag map. So one thing to notice is you can actually, let's just say you wanted to move your origin. Instead of having to use a lat long and go and finding the lat long, plugging in the lat long, etc., you can actually use the drag map drag route function, which you can actually take this origin and we can just drag it on to 261 if we really wanted. From there, you'll see that the route line snaps into place. You'd have to reroute. The system will prompt you if you do not reroute. But I want to make some other changes to the route as well, so we're going to wait to reroute now. So the way that we can add via points using drag route is we can click on to the road. I'm going to double click onto 395 in this case. Oop, I keep zooming in. There we go. I double click and it is adding a via point with the number 1. From there, I'm just going to drag that via point where I want to go, which is down to 61. And it's already kind of shaping the way that I want to with going up Washington 21 and all that other good stuff. So I'm just going to keep it as 1 via point. And now that we've made a change to our route, we're going to go ahead and reroute. Like I said, the system will prompt you to reroute if for whatever reason you forget. But now we have our beautiful preferred route. We moved our origin, we added a via point, and of course, like I said, that's going to be reflected in your driving directions as well. So that's kind of how you can create a preferred route. So from there, I'm going to show you guys a split trip really quick. I'm going to go ahead and clear out our route. So split trips are typically used when you're needing to get onto local roads, usually to avoid heights, restrictions, something like that. You would use a split trip. So for this case, I'm going to start us off on a border crossing. We're going to use I-82 at the Oregon line for our origin. For our destination, I already have a lat long that I'm going to plug in. So I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to plug it in. and I'm going to go ahead and route. And when I route, you'll see I have one trip right here from origin to destination, blue route line. I'm now going to enter a split trip. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to hit add split trip here. And under split one, I'm just going to use another lat long. This time I'm going to use the final map. So I'm going to hit find. And my focus city this time, I'm going to use Pearl. So I'm going to hit go. And I want to plot a point for my split trip origin on Washington 24. So I'm just going to use my select radio button. I'm going to hit Washington 24. You'll see the difference here is instead of an O, you're going to see a number 1. This signifies your origin for your first split. I have my pinpoint there. I'm going to hit done. See the lat long pre-filled. My destination, I'm going to throw that on an intersection. So I'm going to choose the location type as an intersection. I'm going to find the intersection, and we're going to do Washington 24 and Washington 26. Once again, I'm going to hit find. It gives me a few options here. I'm just going to click the number 1 balloon. And you'll see once again, instead of a D, it has a number 1 to signify the destination for the first split. I'm going to hit done. And I'm going to route. And something to note with split trips, it's going to have origin, destination, 1, 1. If you were to add another split into there for whatever reason, it's going to be a 2 and a 2, 3 and a 3, so on and so forth. But from there, you have both of your trips, both your route lines, and under your map, you're going to have 2 separate split up trips in your driving directions. So that is another thing to think about with split trips. So I have 2 more things to show you guys. I'm going to clear out my trip entry once again. And this next thing I'm going to show you guys is about min-max bridges. So my origin, I'm going to choose a border crossing, I-5 at the BC line. Destination, I'm going to choose another border crossing, and I'm going to choose I-205 at the Oregon line. And I'm going to route. And you'll see, of course, that we get a route coming from your origin to your destination. Something that you'll notice with this route is that we cross under 3 min-max bridges. So what this means is that you are in between the minimum and the maximum clearance for these bridges. Not all bridges have a minimum and maximum clearance. Some only have 1, but there are some in Washington that I'm sure you guys are aware of that you are able to travel under if you are in between the minimum and the maximum, depending on the lane that you choose when you're traveling under them. So you'll see we have our little drop down. We have our restrictions. So we have each bridge. We have the minimum height of the bridge, the maximum height of the bridge. If you click this little image, it's going to show you an image of the bridge with each lane marked with the height. Something else to note about these is if you travel under a min-max bridge, this image here is actually going to print on your PDF. So you'll have that as well. Another thing you can do is if you're unsure of where that bridge is, you can go under actions. You can use this little view on map button. And if you go up to the map, it'll show you right here. This is where that bridge is. This is really, really good to do if you plan on re-restricting some of these bridges. So let's just say you personally do not feel comfortable going under this first bridge. You're like, yes, I know theoretically I can, depending on the lane I take, but I don't want to chance it. If that's something you want to do, you can go under restrict, this little question mark, after you've hit actions to view where it is. So you can just verify where it is. You can hit restrict. I'm going to restrict that checkbox, and I'm going to reroute my trip. So I'm going to hit route. And you'll see If you zoom in, the system is now avoiding that bridge. So it's routing off and then back on after that bridge, after you passed it. So that is another option if for whatever reason you don't feel like going under a min-max bridge. But pretty cool feature. So there are the min-max bridges. And then I'm just going to show you one more way of routing, which is with mileposts, which I know a lot of y'all are very familiar with. So mileposts can be done in two ways, the same way that lat longs can be done. So if you know which milepost you're going to be using, you can go ahead and select your origin or destination, and you can choose a milepost. For this, you're going to have your route, your direction, and then your milepost number. So for this specific example, I'm going to use I-90. I'm going to choose westbound, and you'll notice here, it just lets you know that the max milepost for this selected route is going to be 299.82. For this, I'm just going to choose milepost 20. For my destination, I'm going to choose another border crossing, and I'm just going to choose I-205, and I'm going to route. And you'll see on the map, there is nothing crazy different with mileposts versus anything else. It's just going to start you where you're supposed to start and end you where you're supposed to end. The main difference you're going to see on mileposts is just at your origin. It's going to have mile marker I-90 westbound at 20. So that is a way of routing with mileposts if you know exactly where you are starting or ending. If you need some help figuring it out, we can definitely do that. So I'm going to clear my trip, and I'm not exactly sure where I want to start with my milepost. So I'm going to use the find function. This is similar to find on map for lat longs. So I'm going to hit find. And you'll see it gives you this pretty little layer. All of these orange circles are all mileposts. So I have my route, my direction, my milepost. For this, I'm just going to plug in I-90 westbound again at milepost 20. Once again, it gives you your max milepost for your selected route. And once I've plugged that in, I'm going to hit go. And it's going to zoom you into I-90 westbound at milepost 20. It'll give you a lat long, and the other information for that milepost. But for this instance, I actually decided milepost 20, that's not actually where I want to start. It looks more like 21 is where I'm going to start. So I'm going to click 21 on the westbound side. It's going to give me the same kind of information, your lat long, etc. And I'm just going to hit select. That's where I am starting off. So I'm going to hit the select hyperlink. And it fills that in for me. I'm on milepost 21 now. And then same thing, my border crossings, I'm going to hit I-205. I'm going to route. And same thing here, nothing super special on the map. You're just going to show that you're starting at milepost 21 on your origin. And that is milepost routing for you guys. I did want to show you guys one more thing, which is if you are a hauler that travels a trip often, like let's just say you're on a job site for multiple months and you're going back and forth between a specific job site, or maybe you have a preferred route that's a little bit more difficult to get when you're manipulating the system and stuff, you actually have the option to save a trip and load a save trip. So I think we've kind of demoed this before, but for this instance, I'm going to say that I am going back and forth between this job site every single day for months, and I'm needed a permit every single time. I don't feel like copying it, or for whatever reason, I just want to save this trip. So under our trip entry, there is this save trip option right above the map. I'm going to hit save trip, and you're going to give it a name. So for this one, I'm going to hit 221, 24. I already have one that I demoed earlier, so I'm going to hit demo 2. From there, I'm going to save it now that we give it a name. You'll see down here, it says that your data was successfully saved. And now if I were to get out of this permit and get back into it, start a new permit, etc., I would be able to then load my saved trip, and my trip would be under the list of trips that we have. We would load and then we would route. So a pretty nifty function for you guys as well. But that is all that I had as far as my side of things, George.
Sounds good. So I think we're ready to wrap up and open it up for questions. Before we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and put the URL for the site in the chat again, and our support email address. Gonna put that in the chat. There's that. Yeah. So we would definitely encourage everybody to go ahead and create their Sol login if needed, and get logged in to the system. Create your eSNOOPI Pro account before Monday. We should have videos. I think somebody asked this in the chat already, but we should have some training videos posted on the login page hopefully soon. If you need any help getting logged into the system, go ahead and use that eSNOOPI Pro support at promiles.com email address, and we'll get you situated. With that being said, I wasn't really able to keep up with the chat while I was sharing. Was there anything in the chat, Chaz, that we needed to kind of go over again, or how's that looking?
It seems like somebody has their hand up. Wasim?
Yeah.
Hey guys, I just had a quick question. Most of the vehicles that we're moving, they are overweight. Normally what I do is I do a trip and fuel, tonnage, and the overweight. I didn't see that those steps in your demonstration. Do we still need to do that?
I don't think that aspect is changing. You definitely can order a trip and
This
fuel.
is John with the Washington DOT. I'll chime in real quick if that's okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
So none of that process has changed. It's just the permitting program is updating. So if before you needed a trip, fuel, tonnage, and the overweight permit, you would still need those exact same things. You would just purchase them and they're all available in the new permit program.
All right, where do I see that? I mean, I saw the overweight oversized, but I mean, I did log in and I created information, but I guess the order permit option is not activated yet till Monday.
Correct. It won't go live till Monday. And from the
Okay.
drop down box like they had where they did the oversized, there'll
Uh-huh.
also be those same options to do a
Okay,
trip
so we have
permit.
the options for trip and fuel,
Correct.
tonnage, and the overweight. Perfect.
Yeah, all of those same options will still be there, correct?
Okay, and then usually we need to choose a specific milepost.
So if
So would be
hold on,
exactly
not
the
to
same way
interrupt you,
as
but if you look really quick, can you go back one step? So there's the temporary licensing fuel tonnage. You'll click on that.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
And then the next page over, it'll let you pick fuel, trip, tonnage. And then I'm sorry, you were talking about your overweight permits. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I usually do a trip and fuel, tonnage, and overweight for all of that.
Yeah. And then your overweight permits will be the exact same. Just the routing page is what's updating and different. So depending upon where you're starting, stopping, you'll use one of the options that they gave you. If you're coming in at a border crossing, going out at a border crossing, you can use that option. If you're starting at a certain location, you'll be able to find it on the map like she showed you.
Okay, so normally we go from Washington to Idaho, and then we choose the milepost that you're allowed with overweight
So
vehicles.
you can continue to do that, or if you're coming in from a border crossing and going out a border crossing, you can also use that option as one of the drop downs.
And then it will choose where to go.
Correct.
Or where we're allowed to go with that weight and size. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
I think Anthony had a question.
Yeah, I had a question on the routing. So right now so most of my loads are over height and not overweight. So I run more into over height issues. But like when I make a a permit for, say, like a height of 14.7. When I do the single trip permit right now, when I put in my route from milepost to milepost, it'll always print out, it'll say what the restrictions are, but I can go ahead and get the permit because I know routes around the low bridges. Is that still going to be possible to do that? Will we be able to still get a route approved if there's restrictions in there?
So from a routing perspective, of course, there are like some of those min-max bridges that I showed you guys where if it's applicable where you can travel under it and there's a minimum and a maximum clearance, you can do that. But in this system, heights are a hard stop. So you would have to use a split trip. If the system has no other way to route around the height using like an on-system road, of course, the system will route you around using ramps and all that other good stuff if it's applicable. But if for whatever reason there is no route around, that is where you would have to use like a split trip and then get the local county approvals that you would typically do, but it won't just give you a route through it. You are going to have to use like a split trip to get around it. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. And like we do a fair amount in around Spokane area, and a lot of the bridges on the interstates are 14.5, 14.4, and a lot of those would have ramps. You can just ramp up and down the other side. So that the system will give that as an option if that's a restriction.
Yeah, if there's a way to get around it, it won't even, I mean, it's going to make you aware of the restriction because you'll be able to see it, but it's not going to stop you. It'll just route you around.
It wouldn't route you a different direction necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that answers my question. I'll have to figure out a little bit how to use that split route system, but I was wondering if that's what I would use to do that. But yeah, I'll just have to play with it a little bit and see what we can figure out on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
I got a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So sometimes I route myself over like the Hood Canal Bridge, and it's a restriction on that bridge, a weight restriction. And typically I call Olympia and I get I have to submit an application to get it approved. And I run that route to Port Angeles quite a bit. What is the procedure to do that on that particular bridge? It's a 17,000 pound per axle limit. I'm running well over that. So would this new system allow me to do that, or do I still have to get that handwritten submittal and then get it approved like before?
Hey, this is John with the Washington DOT again. So it would be a similar process, but you would actually submit the permit in the system like they were showing, and then it would come to us for review and approval. And then once it was approved by us, you'd pay for the permit and be able to move. So similar to what you did before, not just sending us an application, but you would actually do the actual permit online like they were showing. And then we would have to override the restriction and give you permission to go across.
I see. Okay, so we're eliminating the handwritten emailed permit as before, and
as much as we can. Yep.
Okay, so well, that makes it, that's one less step I have to deal with.
Yep.
No more handwritten submittals. So that's good. That's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. I believe Jeff, I think you had a question. Nacarado, if I'm saying that right.
Yeah. So say we got a job in Kittitas and it's like 3 miles up from the interstate. We have to get a county permit now, not just add the county miles to the regular permit, or how does that all work now?
Yeah, this is John with the Washington DOT again. So nothing's changed. You were still required to get a county permit before, but when it's overweight, you indicate the county miles on our permit, and we record the fee for that and then disperse it out to the counties.
Okay.
So anytime you're going off system, you're still required to get, whether it's a permit, some counties give, some counties just give you an authorization, whatever it might be, you're still required to contact that entity and get permission to be on their road.
Okay.
It looks like we might have Leo raising his hand for a question.
Yes, ma'am. I was just looking on my phone on eSNOOPIPro.com, and that's normally where I do all my permits. Are we going to be able to use this site on our phone or tablet?
George, I'll let you talk more about the site itself, like accessibility and stuff with the tablet and phone.
So yeah, you can definitely access the site on your phone or tablet. The site's responsive, so everything will resize and look correct for whatever screen size you're using.
Now, will we be able to, on the download, will we be able to, I usually use like Adobe Sign and Fill to sign it. Is that all still going to do the same as the old site?
You use Adobe for what? I didn't hear that last bit.
Fill and sign, so I can actually sign the dang thing. Is that still all good? When it downloads, will it still do
It's gonna be downloading a PDF, so yeah, you should be able to still use
okay.
that. Yeah.
Cool. Right on. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, you would so you would recommend, obviously, everybody, set a saw account well in advance, right? We can jump on there now. That
Yes, you can definitely do that now. You can do that today.
okay. I'm still using the old system, but I'm actually sitting in my truck now. I'm thinking about doing that. Just so it is up and running.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, feel free to go ahead and get into eSNOOPI Pro. Like George said, that you can go ahead and create your company account and set up your users, upload your vehicle inventory and everything. We just have the permit link disabled, so you won't be able to order permits until we launch. But yeah, you can go ahead and we encourage you to go ahead and get everything set up, so whenever the system is fully launched, you're ready to go and start ordering permits.
Okay. What if you? I have a SAW account already for. Can that be used to create an account with eSNOOPI?
For sure. Yeah. So if you create your company account in eSNOOPI Pro and you already have a, excuse me, a SAW login username, you can enter in that SAW login username when creating an account. And so whenever you sign in, it'll link the two, eSNOOPI Pro and SAW, and you can log in through SAW that way.
Okay. Okay. Good deal. Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah, share my screen real quick. You would just enter that SAW login you have already here in the user section. You wouldn't have to click this and go out and create it since you have it already.
Okay. Yeah. It's I have one through unemployment and whatever, a SAW account through the system that way. So I didn't know if those credentials can be utilized on this system here.
It should be.
Okay. And yeah, I'm figuring this out for a couple other drivers as well. So I think they all have an account as well. So that'll be a good thing there.
Yeah, it'll be nice and easy for you.
Yeah, I specifically helped a customer last week that used their current SAW login for unemployment, and we were able to enter that in the system, and they were able to log in just fine with it.
Okay. I didn't know they cross compatible. When is the old system going to be done? Is that Sunday at 12 or what? When is that old system going to be no longer used?
I believe they're going to have it as a read only for the next year. Somebody from Washdot can confirm that.
Okay.
Yeah, this is John with the DOT. So it will be a read-only option going forward. The time frame, I'm not exactly sure, but it will go to read-only, I'm guessing the same time or shortly after we deploy the new system, which I believe we're going to deploy it on the 26th, sometime in the earlier AM. I would think around 8 o'clock. And then shortly after that, I would think that the other eSNOOPI, the old system, would go to a read-only option.
Okay. So we need to have this squared away. Well, yeah, before Monday, probably.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Well, thanks for your help.
Yeah, thank you. George, I'm not sure. Sorry if you had already demoed this. Did you demo if you're trying to create an account that's already been created?
I don't think I did. Here, I'll share my screen.
Sure.
So I'm gonna go and create an account, the USDOT number option, and here's the USDOT I created earlier. So the account already exists. So when I click search, it's gonna give us this message that just lets you know that the account already exists. So if you get this, you'll have to reach out to either the permit office or our support email address here, and we'll add your SAW login to your already existing account, and that will let you log in to eSNOOPI Pro.
Okay. Good deal.
Hey, Erica, you had a question?
Can you hear me all right now?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I noticed on your last response to one of my, multiple questions, that eSNOOPI Pro will not be added as a service directly into the SAW site. Why would that not be available, comparable to all the other state-related agencies that we can access directly from the SAW login?
So I believe that's not going to be added as a service due to security reasons. Somebody at Watchdog or Michelle, if you want to confirm that. We had discussions about it, but I don't believe it's we're able to.
Yes, I don't remember the exact reason either. We did discuss that early on, and the state made the decision to do it the way that we're doing it right now. And I think it was also just so that we kind of had more control over that workflow. So you're not having to go directly to SAW. You just, as long as you click log in from SAW, from our dashboard, it's going to take you straight back to our system. And I could be wrong, but I think as SAW goes forward, there may be other applications that work that same way. I think now that I'm kind of looking back at some other notes on it too, is if it's provided as a link, you had to have your account approved. So like if when you would create your SAW, when you would log into your SAW to the SAW system and you're logged in on your home page or your dashboard in SAW, in order for you to add a another project or access to another, such as our website, you either had to have some type of code to be able to access that link, or you could click that link to be added to that, and then it had to have an approval process. And the state did not want people having to wait to get their account approved. If you decided to create an account over the weekend and want to order a permit, they didn't want you to have to wait until Monday for that to happen. But that was one of the SAW requirements. If we did it the way that you're talking about, is that we either had to create like random different approval codes to get you into the system, and you would have to have that approval number from the permitting office, or they would have to approve your account. But either way, it was going to slow the customer down from being able to get directly into their account.
Option to possibly go that route would be beneficial, especially for those of us who go straight through the SAW site for accessing Department of Licensing, Department of the Unemployment Office, or LNI for various things, making payments to the state for child support for our employees, various things that you can access through your SAW direct login. It's much more convenient and consolidated to just go that route. If the option was available for the user to go through the eSNOOPI site or through the SAW site, that'd be great. But not allowing direct through the SAW site, it just seems kind of restrictive when so many other state agencies allow you to go that route if you want to.
Definitely add it to our action item list to get a decision from the state on that. We'd also have to meet with SAW. I'm curious if we set it up the way the way we're doing it, but like you said, also put the link there. And if you're already a user in this permitting system, then it lets you access it either way. I would think that would work, but I'm just not real sure. But so we'll put it on an action item to discuss with the state and with the SAW team. Are there any more questions?
Hey, this is Judy Albright. I don't know if you noticed what I just typed, but in response to Erica's issue about the SAW account, as a business owner, I know what she's talking about. But as a permit agent, having the two separated is much easier. And you can just put that link as a shortcut, and it takes you right to eSNOOPI Pro. Because as many times as you might have to be going in and out of that, it's so much quicker than having to log in through your actual SAW account where you do all your other reporting.
we currently do, and I completely follow what you're saying. I'm specifying that having the option for the user to get through eSNOOPI from the two different sources, direct on eSNOOPI or through our SAW access, would be great if we had the option of going either route.
All righty. Well, if there are no further questions, we will go ahead and end this session. Thank you all for participating. It's been, a great opportunity to be able to share what the system can do with you all. We do have 2 more trainings tomorrow. They will be a repeat of today's, but if you'd like to join back in just to hear something again or ask other questions, please feel free to do that. All right, so thank you again and have a great evening.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks.
Thank y'all.
Mm,
Bye-bye.
Thank you.